Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers Don the Snake Prud'homme's Wedge Dragster. It's AMT kit number A1049 in 1/25th scale. Now, Don got his nickname the Snake from his many drag racing encounters with Tom the Mongoose McEwen. Eventually, they formed an alliance to keep up the rivalry and entertain drag racing fans with challenge races all over the country. Now, this is a reissued kit, and it was first released back in the 70s, but this one has some interesting new additions, even though it's the same kit number, but it's got new parts, and the decals to me have been improved. It has about 90 pieces and a skill level of about 2 for the intermediate builder. They're molded in white, chrome, clear, black vinyl tires and water slide decals. The dimensions when you're done will be about 10.5 inches long, 3 inches wide and 2 inches high. So here are the contents of the kit. It's my version of the open box review. I could pick up each piece and talk about them, but I'm just going to show you how they go together. Now you can see the chrome is bright and the trees are separate and clean. A nice looking set of tires, bigs and littles, and some decals too, along with a colorful poster. Here are those decals. As you can see, the long white ones could probably use some of the setting solutions available on the aftermarket, and the Hot Wheels logos and snake that comes along with this particular version of the kit. Construction begins with the engine, so remove the parts and trim them up from all of the sprue attachment points, and then assemble the left and right engine halves and the cylinder heads to the block. Now the engine is painted gloss red, and the oil pan, then a chrome unit gets attached to the engine assembly at the bottom. Now locate the front engine cover and the bell housing for in the back, and remember you have to remove chrome plating when you're trying to glue those parts together to another part, and also paint. It will not stick to paint or chrome plating. So go ahead and attach the front cover and the bell housing in the back of the motor. Now remove these parts, the valve covers and the water tubes, and you may have to touch up where the sprues were attached to the chrome parts with a chrome pen, and then go ahead and add the valve cover and the water tubes to the cylinder heads. Now repeat for the other side, and the engine block will be completed. Next, we'll use these parts to work on the top half, and the intake manifold gets painted aluminum before it's glued to the top of the engine, and the blower body gets attached to the intake manifold, and then the front blower cover, back, and the scoop are attached to the blower body. These parts from the kit, and the blower belt gets painted flat black and detailed with aluminum for the pulleys. Then the fuel pump gets painted aluminum, and the blower belt can be attached to the front cover and the front blower cover, and the fuel pump is attached to the front cover of the engine. I wanted to add some detail to the engine, so I got a pre-wired distributor. These are available on the internet or at hobby stores, and they're pretty handy. You just use them in place of the kit magneto or distributor. So go ahead and you'll drill out the hole for the distributor where it would have gone, and then go ahead and add this one. Now the magneto assembly can be super glued then to the engine, and then the spark plug areas on each of the valve covers get drilled out in the center, as this is a Hemi, and then the spark plug wires can be installed according to an online source that you can find for a Hemi wiring diagram, and then go ahead and install them with super glue. Now you can shorten the wires and put them in harnesses, etc., but gather them up just as they would be a nice set of wires on your real car, and then you can trim off any excess if you need to and use some super glue to put them into place. So let's work on the wheel assemblies. There's a little bit of flash on the tires, which you can remove with a sharp hobby knife, and then scuff up the tread area on a flat sheet of sandpaper, and just roll the tread around to make it look like a worn tire. Go ahead and put the inner half of these wheels together on the inside of diameter of the tire, and then go ahead and glue the outer section to the intersection for completed wheel assemblies. And so gather up the parts for the rear wheel assemblies, and those are really good looking pad printed slicks. They have an insert, so go ahead and glue the insert into the back of the tires, and then the rear mag inner, that's the wheel backings actually, are installed, and then the outer is installed into the slick and glued to the rear mag inner. So you glue those pieces together to trap the wheel or tire in between. Then you repeat that for the second tire, and your tires are done. Now go ahead and clean up the one-piece frame here, which makes it pretty easy. Just make sure that it's nice and flat. Soak it under some warm water and then cool it off quickly if you need to flatten it out at all. And then go ahead and we'll add some of the cross framing pieces there. Glue into position the body brace, the front cross member, and the firewall, and they're all located pretty easily. The frame assembly then can be sprayed gloss red, and then it's detailed with a little bit of aluminum, which you'll see shortly. We will add some chrome pieces as you see here next. The fuel tank halves are put together, and the filler cap is attached to the assembly there. Then the fuel tank assembly can be added to the firewall up front, and the accelerator pedal, handbrake, and clutch pedals are all glued into the frame assembly in their positions. The fire bottle there, the fire extinguisher, is painted gloss red and then installed into the frame as you see here near the bottom. Now we'll get into some of the more fragile pieces and remove the chrome plating and use some super glue for strength on these parts. The front axle and the frame extension is attached to the frame assembly, and both radius rods are attached to the front axle and the frame extension in the assembly. Then as soon as the glue is dry between the radius rods and the frame, use a pair of side cutters to remove the lower sections of the radius rods. The tie rod is attached to the front axle and the frame extension, and there's an optional weight that can be attached to the front axle and frame extension, and the one in this figure here is placed on the bar closer to the frame assembly. However, in the latter part of the instructions it looks like it was supposed to be attached to the axle portion. So maybe some more investigation would help there, and use your judgment as to where that should be positioned. Now locate the parts for the steering mechanism here, and the wheel brace is painted gloss red and detailed with flat black, and the steering wheel brace is attached to the frame. Next, the steering link is slid into the body brace onto the front cross member through the firewall and into the steering wheel brace. Now one end of the steering link is attached to the tie rod, and then the steering wheel can be attached to the other end of the steering link. Now we can add the seat and the roll bars there, and the seat gets painted aluminum, and then with some textures like gloss black, semi-gloss black for the interior, and then the lower roll cage is painted gloss red and detailed with some flat black for the spongy parts. Now the seat gets installed into the lower roll cage there, and then the assembly gets installed into the frame. The roll cage then can be attached to the frame assembly and the lower roll cage. Now this kit comes with some options for the push bar on the rear. You get a V push bar or a wide one, and I use the V push bar for this build. The rear frame brace and the V push bar then are painted gloss red and attached to the frame, and the chute base A gets painted semi-gloss black, and the chute pack painted flat black. Then after the chute pack is attached to the chute base A, the assembly can be attached to the rear frame brace there, and for the wide push bar version you'd use chute base B as the option. Here you'll find the axle and axle brace portions, and we're going to paint the axle and the axle brace gloss black, and the disc brakes then are painted steel. The axle center is two pieces, and when they're assembled they are attached to the rear axle. The axle brace then is attached to the rear axle, and the rear axle assembly can be installed into the frame. The disc brakes then are attached to the rear axle assembly on each end. Now grab those wheel and tire assemblies and make sure you scrape the glue, and you can pop those onto the axle studs on both the fronts and the rears for what we call a rolling chassis. We'll get the oil filters out, and we're going to paint the bracket, the body there, red, gloss red, and the filters themselves will be a gloss orange. Scrape a bit of paint off of the frame there and attach the filter unit to the frame just behind the seat. Now do a little test fit here, and we're going to put the engine into place, locate the mounting points for the engine, and remove any paint or chrome that you find there, and glue the engine into position in the frame. Now we have to choose between another option, and that's for the exhaust assembly. These are the parts that you'll use, and you either choose the one that runs up the body, which is part 36, or underbody exhaust assembly, which is part 37. So as you can see, I installed the exhaust assembly here that runs up the body, the 2 inner braces, and the 8 headers, and the 2 side braces are painted steel. Then the inner brace is attached to the engine assembly, and then 4 exhaust headers are attached to the inner brace. Now a side brace can be attached to the 4 exhaust headers there, and then you repeat those steps for the exhaust assembly on the other side. Make sure they're symmetrical and match each other so that you get a good look. We'll locate these 4 pieces for the body assembly of the Wedge, and both pieces of the body and the front wing can be sprayed gloss red, and the 2 body pieces then are assembled, and the front wing is attached to the body assembly. Now the body assembly is attached to the Wedge, and the decals can be applied, and the instructions don't really show decal placement, so use the box and any online references that you can find, but this is how I made mine. Once again, it helps if you use a little decal setting solution, but it's not really necessary. If you use plenty of warm water and smooth them out to make sure you get any trapped air bubbles out. Now that snake on top really sets it off, and I think this is a really cool looking dragster. Now here's the copyright script inside, but it's printed. It sands off pretty easily, or you can just paint over it with some black, silver, or even some body color red. So here's the windscreen, and we're going to remove that carefully from the sprue attachment there, and then sand it down to remove the rest of the sprue attachment. And then we're going to attach that to the body with some clear part cement or some white glue. So look in the kit for of the few parts that are left, and we're going to use this fuel tank filler cap, and we're going to attach that to the body at the fuel tank location. There's not going to be too many pieces left. In fact, you'll have the underbody exhaust header covers, the optionals, if you used the underbody exhaust. But that's it. That's all she wrote. Your vehicle is now complete. This nice looking Hot Wheels and Don the Prudhomme the Snake's Wedge Dragster is done. So there you have it. This iconic Wedge Dragster is finished, and it looks great on the shelf. Now the frame was nice and straight, so all the wheels touch, and she came out pretty well with the great looking dragster graphics. And if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you liked this premium step-by-step model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. The icon in the lower right is all you have to do. Just click on that and you can sign up so that you won't miss any more. You can find us on Facebook though, and at our website rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.